Everyone, this is Lou Schumaker.
What's going on, everybody? Just keep that going for me. Anybody graduate recently-ish? Hey, good for you. Nobody gives a shit. I graduated too. Now I work at Starbucks. A lot of times when I say Starbucks, my hand is involuntarily like. But anyways, customers all the time at Starbucks, they're always like, they're invariably like, so how's school going? And I'm like, oh, I graduated. And their face just like drops and they're like, oh. Well, like, what'd you get a degree in? I guess they're hoping I'm gonna say like, making Starbucks. And instead I'm like, film and media studies. And they're like, oh, so like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, how positive of an answer do you think I'm about to give you? I obviously work at Starbucks. Do you think I'm gonna be like, oh, this is a joke? Can I get $8 an hour as a joke? It's funny. But, oh yeah, so then they're like, so yeah, what'd you get a degree in? I'm like, film and media studies. And they're like, what projects are you working on? I'm like, working on this fucking latte right now. Whenever I say I got a degree in film and media studies, they're like, have you considered a career in advertising? And I'm like, I don't know, are you offering me a job right now? Yeah, I've considered getting a really high-paying job in advertising. That'd be fucking chill. Getting into advertising is hard enough when you have like a degree in advertising. I have a degree in film from KU. No offense. A little offense. Film majors are the worst because it's like, it's art, so it attracts arrogant people, and it's super easy, so it attracts stupid people. So every class is this like really volatile combination of like arrogance and stupidity. So when the teacher asks a question, you're just like, nobody speak. Oh yeah, so I'm moving to New York on Tuesday. I'm moving on Tuesday, and people at Starbucks, they ask me a lot of fucking questions at Starbucks. They're like, oh, so what are you gonna do in New York? And if I say like, oh, I'm gonna try to do comedy, they're like, oof, it's kind of a risky road, which I don't like that. And so then usually I make a self-deprecating joke, they're like, what are you gonna do in New York? And I'm like, oh, I'll probably fall flat on my face. And they're like, I'm like, how are you already disappointed in me? I haven't even left yet. Nobody's been as disappointed in me. Nobody's been that disappointed in me since my dog saw me stand up and was like, are we doing something? And I sat back down and I was like, yeah, I knew we weren't. I was just playing. Oh yeah, so moving to New York, might keep working at Starbucks, might not. Either way, I know that I worked at Starbucks because I have a lot of opinions about Starbucks. And I know that because anybody who's ever had like a conversation with me has listened to like a lengthy diatribe about Starbucks. And if you're like, but there's nothing worth complaining about Starbucks, you're right. I still do it. But all my complaints are like, no, but there's only one size of smoothie, and then the guy tried to get a venti smoothie, and I was like, there's only one size, and he was like, can you just pour in a venti cup, but there's only one size of smoothie. I'd say that joke is funny to people who work at Starbucks, but they're all here. None of them laughed. So I feel bad for me that I work at Starbucks. I feel a lot worse for my girlfriend, because every time we hang out, I complain to her about it. And it'd be one thing if I was like a doctor and I was like, man, it's a really rough day in the ER. But I'm always just like, this guy ordered 2 Frappuccinos. What the fuck is his problem? So Starbucks, the worst. The only thing worse than Starbucks is like people who hate Starbucks. Like they come in and they're like, yeah, I don't know, I'll have like a venti grande. I don't even know the sizes. And I'm like, oh, clever guy over here. Did you see that Paul Rudd movie where he's like, what are you, Fellini? Yeah, we all fucking get it. A lot of anger about this. If you say large, nobody at Starbucks is like, what the fuck is a large? I don't know. We just get you to drink. So I'm moving away from New York. And the main thing I'm going to miss, besides my friends, is no, I'm sorry, I just can't be sincere. I was hanging out with my girlfriend and her friend offered us pizza, and I was like, thanks for the pizza. I'm gonna eat it all. So it made me uncomfortable to just thank her. But anyways, the main thing I'm gonna miss from Lawrence is there's this church sign on like 14th in Massachusetts that's weirdly antagonistic. Right now the sign says, shouldn't you spend possibly your last Sunday in church? And I'm like, hold on, a threat? Why do you, it's like, they're like, I'm not saying you're gonna die on Monday, but you fucking might. Also, I'm like, no, I got stuff to do. I don't know, if it's my last Sunday, come on. But there are other signs that have been like, my favorite one of all time was, you died without accepting Jesus? What were you thinking? I'm like, I didn't mean to. Or on Christmas it said, if you take the Christ out of Christmas, all you're left with is this. I'm like, yeah, that's technically true. I don't really know who your point is. Pretty chill. So, yeah, I fucking missed much stuff. So anyways, graduation's pretty chill. Craziest thing about graduation is like overnight people's Facebook statuses go from being like, man, all this homework to like, oh, kids today just don't understand. Cannot wait to pretend to grow up. The one thing I see a lot is people always post statuses, or they post like BuzzFeed lists of like things you did in your early 20s that you can't do in your late 20s. And I'm like, 24 is not late 20s. Just because it's not 20 doesn't make you late 20s. But also I see those lists and I'm like, did we used to do that stuff? That was fun. And there's always one thing on the list that's like, man, randomly hooking up all the time just isn't satisfying anymore. And I'm like, I know, right? Just like, I'm just like hooking up all the time and I'm just like, it's not worth it anymore. Oh yeah, so that's why I was on BuzzFeed. I take like every fucking BuzzFeed quiz that I ever see and I never post the result. Because it's never right. I posted if it was right, but it's always like, which Disney princess are you? And I'm like, this is easy, none of them. But I take the quiz and then it's like, you're Mulan. I'm like, you fucked up because I never say China. My favorite Disney princess though is Belle, and here's why. It's because all the other princess songs are like, I want to be a part of that world, or let me show you the forest, or whatever Mulan's fucking song is. She sings Reflections, right? Which is not indicative of how many people she's going to kill over the course of the movie. But, no, but Belle's song is she's like going down this path and she's got like a basket and she's like going down the path and she gets to town and she's like, I hate this town because I'm so much better than it. And all the other people in town are like, there's something strange about Belle, and she's like, yeah, I'm fucking better than you. That's what you're noticing. My intellectual and social superiority to you guys. I will say though, she's like reading a book and then Gaston looks dumb because he reads the book and he's like, there's no pictures in here, how can you read this? And she's like, I'm a smart person, that's how. But the book she's reading is like this shitty ass fairy tale with like all these plot twists in it. It's like, you're not reading shit, Belle. Oh, sorry, I laughed really hard at my own joke. So I've been flying a lot recently, doing things. I went to Arizona for some reason, and when I was going there, because no matter how early you get there, the security line is like a total clusterfuck, and I was like, honestly, I feel like there should be a second line for people with like really lax security, for people who are just gonna like roll the dice on their safety. Like, you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take off your belt. Somebody might have a gun on the plane, but you don't have to do any of that. I feel like TSA designed all airport security. It's like they came to the American public and they're like, all right, how safe do you want airports to be? And we were like, we want 0 planes to crash ever. And they were like, okay, that's fine, that's totally doable. You just have to take your laptop out of the bag and just put it in a separate bin by itself. And we were like, well, maybe a couple planes. Like, honestly, like, I understand that the 9/11 hijackers were like evil people, but I have like a personal hatred towards Richard Reed, the shoe bomber guy, because he didn't even succeed in his thing, and they're like, take off your shoes, and every time I do, I'm like, man, fuck you, Richard Reed. God damn, Sorry, I'm just, he's such an asshole. So when I was young, I flew on planes. And I've only gotten progressively more afraid of planes since then. Like when I was a kid, I was like, we're flying through the air. And now I'm an adult and I'm like, this should not be possible. When I was flying to New York the first time, I went to the bathroom to pee and I couldn't pee because I was like, I'm in a metal tube going 750 miles an hour. I liked it better when I was a kid and I was like, these guys know what they're doing. They barely know what they're doing. Oh yeah, so I always like, I like natural disaster movies where they like stop an asteroid from hitting Earth or like reignite the sun. Probably because they're fun, but mostly because it's just like a big fuck you to nature when we do that. I want that to happen in real life because if we stop an asteroid from hitting Earth, then nature did not see that coming. Nature was like, damn, I thought you guys were dead for sure. That was crazy. How'd you do that? Plus, it takes a lot of the culpability of global warming off us. We're like, yeah, we're killing the planet slowly, but it's not as fast as that asteroid we all saved you from, so just calm the fuck down. NASA released these studies. One said that industrial society is headed towards an irrevocable collapse, and this other one said like the western ice shelf is melting and like water levels are going to rise dramatically over the coming centuries. And I was like, damn, coming centuries, I'm kind of glad I'm going to die pretty soon. So if I had to deal with the consequences of all of this, I would feel really bad. Anytime they say there's like, anytime they talk about environmentalism and stuff and like how we're killing the planet, I feel, I'm like, oh, that's so terrible. And then they're like, and the damage is irreversible. I'm like, oh, it's irreversible. We can't do anything about it. I would love to change my whole way of living and stop depending on fossil fuels, but like you just said, we can't fix it. So it's like when I was in school and like I found out I was like failing a class, I'd be like, oh, I gotta go drop this class now. And then the professor would be like, all right, you can make up your grade if you do 2 extra projects. And I'd be like, I thought you said I was failing. I was gonna do that. So I took this Myers-Briggs personality test. It asked me all these fucked up questions. Like, do you like being in a large group of people? I was like, no. It was like, then it was like, do you like being the center of attention of a group of people? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, so you're just a douchebag. You're just a big douchebag. I wound up getting, it gives you like this 4-letter thing that tells you what you are. I got INTJ, which stands for introverted something something judging. I was like, whatever, Myers-Briggs, like you're so understanding. I looked up other famous INTJs and it was like Mark Zuckerberg, Nietzsche, Ayn Rand, and the Unabomber. Just all assholes. I was like, yeah, you guys nailed it. Because honestly, the only real difference between me and the Unabomber is that he like worked hard to achieve his goals. I think if me and the Unabomber died right now and went up to heaven and they could only let one of us in, they'd be like, sorry, Lou. But the Unabomber finishes what he starts, passionate about his ideals, grow a beard. So, fuck you. I was looking up quotes about the Unabomber for that joke, and he talked about blowing up a Starbucks, and I was like, go on. I'm not saying I'm gonna do it. I'm just saying if somebody did, I wouldn't be on the news being like, we gotta find out who did this. I'd be like, hey, you know, man, shit happens. Alright, that was all my time. I should have ended 2 jokes earlier. What's happening?